Good day to you all. JustinIan is here with a game by Capcom. Now, what game could it be? Oh, well, that guy brought a gun to a fist fight and lost. Was that the final boss of the first final fight? Gee, I'm glad I didn't play that game. That must have been really lame. After the destruction of the Mad Gear Gang. Mad Gear Gang. Yeah, we already know these guys are bad. Honestly, I don't really care about the story. I mean, with a name like Mad Gear Gang, you know the dudes are gonna be bad. I don't feel safe in this cutscene. I want to get out, but I don't want to skip it. I want to know the story of why I'm walking around beating up the Mad Gear Gang. They're ready to strike back at those who oppose them. Their first move is to kidnap Guy's fiancée. I can't read this dramatically. Well, you know. Mad Gear Gang is bad. Darn those telemarketers.
Oh, hello! Would you like to play some Final Fight 2 with me?
Oh, I'm liking this telemarketer call. Yeah, I'm out for some Final Fight 2 with a sexy girl who's hardly wearing any clothing. Are you really gonna go out into the streets and fight like that?
Oh, look you're around me, big boy. I bet you have a sexy mustache.
Oh, is this phone got a camera in it? Oh, I didn't think we were in the 21st century. And thus, the mustache dude teams up with a random street fighter to fight the Mad Gear Gang. Who loves kicking butt? I haven't paid attention to this cutscene. Oh man, he turned into a Cyclops. Well, you know a game is promising if the title screen begins with number 2 being lit on fire. Yes, this is Final Fight 2, as you could probably tell by the title. Now, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about myself without rambling too much. I like older games. In some ways, I think older games are better than newer games. I mean, it's not like that all the time, but I'm definitely a retro gamer. But one genre that I think is the exception to the rule that older games are generally better is the beat-em-up genre. Now, I don't hate classic beat-em-ups, old school beat-em-ups, but I don't care for them that much. Oh, she likes playing Street Fighter. We would get along terribly. Anyway, I just don't really care much for these old school beat-em-ups. I think it's mostly just a bunch of walking around and mashing buttons. But it is a good time waster, and I have wasted much time playing this game. Well, that didn't sound too cheerful. But anyway, with the beat-em-up genre, I think as far as it's progressed further, it's gotten better. Because some of my favorite beat-em-ups are actually Devil May Cry on the PlayStation 2. Although all the sequels to that game that I played on PS2, number 2 and number 3, both of those sucked in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. Wait, I haven't played 2. But it's not really worth playing because everybody says it sucks. One of my friends played it. He says it sucks. Let's not get on a Devil May Cry tangent. First game is really good. And No More Heroes is a really good beat-em-up. As far as old school beat-em-ups go, though, my favorites are Streets of Rage 2 and Ninja Warriors. Why am I not playing one of those, then? Because even though I really love those games, I haven't been able to beat either one of them. I reached the final boss in Ninja Warriors on the Super Nintendo, but I must have been trying at him for hours, and I couldn't beat him. I still love the game, though. I'm not going to hate on it just because I can't beat it. I think it's awesome. And as far as Streets of Rage 2 goes, it's really good, actually. But, once again, I haven't been able to beat it. So, I'm thinking if I'm going to play a beat-em-up, if I'm going to play one of these old-school beat-em-ups, I should at least be good at it. I should at least be able to beat it. And I've beaten this game a few times. Just one of those days when I'd be otherwise bored, want a simple game to play. But yeah, let's get started with this game. Enough rambling. There's number 2 being lit on fire again. Come on. Well, as usual, let's go to the options, I guess. Actually, beat 'em ups, I usually don't bother with options. You can choose the game level, that's good. Oh, extra joy. What does this do? When I push the button, does it get me all tingly? Anyway. Oh, extra joy is X, huh? Maybe it should be triple X. Enough fooling around. What would be a good button for this? Extra Joy is basically a really weird way to say that one attack in those old school beat 'em ups where you sacrifice health to get rid of all the enemy. Well, not get rid of them, to knock down all of the enemies around you. Good for when you're getting chain comboed, I guess, but I never use it. Might as well just put the button there, just so we have it if we need it, but I don't want to be guaranteed to lose health, even if it's to get me out of being chain comboed. Maybe that makes me bad at these games, but, Um, Well, music and sound are set to 0. Let's set them to the max. Music is 12, and sound, we're taking it to the 3rd floor, baby. Alright. Let's get... No, I don't want to watch that cutscene again. It's scary. Telemarketing and the guy laughing. Ugh. Guy bring a gun to a fist fight getting beat. Well, let's start this bad boy. Now, there's not 2 of me. Let's go 1 player. Our 3 characters. Well, this guy has a sword. He must be the obvious pick, right? He's the only one who's smart enough to bring a sword to the fight. But, if I'm honest, my favorite is actually Maki. She's kind of well, if I'm honest, she's probably the worst character in the game, but that makes it a challenge. And I'm up for the adventure! Ha-ha! Have at ye, you bounders! I forgot which button does what. Let's try to figure that out. Jump and attack. All you need to know. So, we're up against our first guys, these little grunts. I don't really have... Well, they probably have official names. I grabbed onto them, but... I think their official names are actually what their, that name is up in the top of the screen when you're punching them or when they're punching you. Oh, man. Yeah, I gotta focus here. But I think their official names are actually one of those names that... Here we go, here's your main strategy. Punch them to stun them, and try to grab onto them. Good strategy there. But as you can tell, all these grunt soldiers have different names. So, I just call them grunt soldiers. Oh, let's grab. Crud, we didn't do that too well. Here comes a big guy, as I like to call him. Or Atlas, because that's what most often appears in the top of the screen when you fight him. These big guys are obnoxious. We'll get into that when we get to it. Need to throw this guy at these guys. So your basic strategy, here we go. That grabbing move that the big... That grabbing move that the big guys do. Thank you for so kindly demonstrating it. And they also block a lot, so you gotta get in close and... Oh, I just threw a big guy. I'm strong for my size and age. Oh, by the way, little Easter egg. That's Chun-Li. See, right there? Chun-Li's eating some Chinese food back there. I'm proud of this Easter egg because it's the only one I can really think of that I discovered in any game without the help of a walkthrough or just looking around on the internet about the game. We're being introduced to so many enemies here. These guys with the, antenna? I mean, what is that? Did he rip an antenna off of a car? Well, I like to call these guys the DJs. They're not really much of a threat, if I'm honest, unless you're otherwise surrounded by enemies. Oh, one little quirk I have beat 'em up games is that I never pick up weapons. I prefer fighting with my hands. I guess it's just because a weapon changes the game too much, and usually, especially this weapon, I think, if you hit an enemy with a weapon, usually they'll just fall right to the ground, so you cannot combo them. Like that. I mean, I prefer comboing my enemies, thank you very much. Anyway, so many enemy types to keep up with. The main issue with the big guys is this grabbing move that they do. Well, right now he's striking, but... They have a grabbing move that does a ton of damage to you, and they do not really have to be that close to you to do the move. In fact, they can do it from punching distance. In fact, well, look at that. I tried to grab him, he grabbed me. There we go. Now, I have been fighting these big guys before, and I would throw a punch at them as Maki. I think Maki has relatively short reach, like the shortest reach in the game, but... She's supposed to be the small, fast character, but she's not very fast, and she's not very powerful. I mean, I guess she has a longer combo, but... you know, it's just like one extra hit more than Carlos. Anyway, I have been fighting these big guys who show up, and I would throw a punch at them as Maki. My punch would fall short, and I would miss. Immediately afterward, they would grab me from the very distance that I tried punching from. So, in effect, the big guy's grab has longer reach than my punch. What's the deal here? Also, one pet peeve I have about old school beat-em-ups is just that the little grunt enemies, most of the time they stand around doing... Oh, I got an extra life. They stand around doing relatively nothing. And if they do attack you, it's like that. He looks like he's trying to kick a soda machine to get a drink out. I mean, he looks like he's trying to wake up his roommate who's fallen asleep after lots and lots of alcohol. So anyway, the big guys are back. But that's one pet peeve I have about these old school beat 'em up games, is that the grunt enemies are just really stupid. They don't really have a fighting style. They just kind of stand around watching you. And every now and then, they might throw a punch at you that looks like they're trying to take a glass off the shelf. Just stuff like that. Also, I just noticed that I haven't run into any food. So I haven't effectively been able to heal myself. Maybe I ran into some food early on, but not now. This is an unlucky run thus far. But hey, I'm up for a challenge. And here we have a new enemy type, lingering over at the left edge of the screen. Come on now, don't be shy, come on out. Actually, we really don't want him to come out. Another one of these DJs with the antennas. I have a bad habit of saying antennas, so just be aware of that. Anyway, we got these DJs with the antennas. They're not much of a threat. They mostly just stand around watching. They could be a threat if you're surrounded by other enemies and you're just not watching the DJs, but they rarely even try to take a crack at you. But that electric man that I handled very easily... Oh boy, we're eating like Simon Belmont. Anyway, the electric men are really annoying, and we'll see some more of them later on. So many enemy types to describe, maybe I should wait until we encounter more of them later on. Aw, come on. Oh, here we have another enemy type. I like to call these guys the Flying Manzoni brothers. Luckily, I countered his completely BS move, but that time I didn't. That jumping move that the Flying Manzoni brothers do is the reason why I hate them. It's basically a move that I like to call an I would like to be invincible now move. Thank you very much. So we got more bandana dudes coming after us. I think that's my official title for the Grunt Soldiers, is bandana dudes. Because some of them are wearing bandanas. Maybe they're all wearing bandanas and I just haven't looked at them very closely. But luckily that big guy didn't, that big guy didn't grab me from far away. And once again, there's a weapon that I'm not picking up. But that big guy is picking me up and doing a little dance. I would dance too if I grabbed a woman like that. No, I wouldn't. Ew. I mean, I like women, but it's all about respect, you know? Anyway, we have... Oh. One thing you gotta know is that you can't use the same strategy with bosses as you do with the standard enemies. You cannot walk up to them and start throwing punches like this and expect to catch them in a combo. As soon as they get up, if you're too close to them, they're gonna have a counter move. Good thing to do is jump in and use an attack that consists of pushing down and the attack button while you're in the air, and that will it will allow you to jump in and do some damage to the boss without knocking him down, because whoa, well maybe it wasn't that move. This move right here, that I missed with, and got counter-grabbed and killed by it, thanks big guy, we're gonna grab this guy. But this move right here will knock your opponents down, as demonstrated, so I prefer to do this. I prefer to get hit by the boss, thank you. And we have just witnessed one other thing I do not like about old school beat-em-ups. Now, one thing about these old school beat-em-ups is that you can move up and down, and so can your enemies. But if you're even just a tiny little fraction of a millimeter up or down, like higher or lower than your opponent, your attacks could very well whip, like mine were doing for a second there. But yeah, this first boss is fairly easy. We've just about got him beaten. Just about. Let's do one more kick. Like Chuck Norris. So, that's the end of the first level. Hate to cut this so abrupt, but I'm gonna go ahead and say, see you guys in the next level. After defeating Wanwan, Maki, Carlos, and Hagar learned that the Mad Gear Gang's base of operations had been moved to Europe. Wanwan, well, with his dying words, he said, go and end their pizza chain once and for all.